Hi there, it's Mrs. Ferris from Wood Library, and welcome to our Crafter School Special. This month our theme is Deck the Halls, and we're going to be having 3 ornament projects. We're going to be making a snowman, a gingerbread man, and a rocking Santa. If you reserved a take and make bag from the library, I hope you came and picked it up, because everything that you need for the program, at least almost everything you need for the program, is right inside the bag. So let's dump it out and take a look and see what we're going to be having. One more. Inside the bag is a black marker, a small bottle of tacky glue, and 3 Ziploc bags, 1 for each of our projects. And the first one we're going to work on today is the snowman one. So you're going to want the long skinny bag, and you can just tuck the other ones away. You may find that you want a few other things that I'm sure you have at home, and that's why I didn't put them in the bag. We're going to be needing some scissors, a pencil, some Scotch tape, a fine black marker. You may want a glue stick, if you prefer that to the tacky glue. And then, of course, some paper towel, because things can get messy. I always like to have a damp paper towel right near me, so that if my fingers get sticky with glue when I'm working on a project, I can just quickly dry them or clean them off and let them dry. I also like to cover the area that I'm going to be working on. If you have a craft area at your house, you probably already have it set up that way. I have a placemat that I bought at the dollar store, and I use that for a lot of my craft programs here at the library. So let's get started. Open up your bag, and inside, be careful when you dump it out, because there's some really, really small things in there. In fact, some of them may even want to stick to your bag. What you'll find is 4 popsicle sticks. And when you look at them, you'll notice that they're painted on one side, and 2 of them, if I can get close enough, have holes in them. You also have a mini craft stick, one like this, and another one that I cut into 2 pieces. You'll see a clothespin, a piece of orange cardstock. Can you guess what that's for? A couple of buttons. I guess they'd show up better on my hand. A piece of black twine. It's about 10 inches long. And there's something else I forgot. 2 pieces of red cardstock and a couple of holly leaves and a bunch of red punched circles. I put a bunch of them in there. We're only really needing 3, but I was afraid they might get lost. So that's what we have. So the first thing you're going to want to do, well, let me tell you a little bit about the first thing that I did. Ordinarily, we would do this whole project at the library, but because you're where you are and I'm where I am and we can't get together, I did a little bit of the prep work for you. I took the 4 popsicle sticks, and after I punched them, I put a piece of masking tape across them, going slightly at an angle. Can you see that? And then I painted them. If we were here, I would have had you paint them, but I did the painting this time, and so they're all nice and dry. And then what you can do is you can take that masking tape off, and you'll notice that the line goes up at an angle. So what I want you to do right now is take that black marker and color the top part of each of the sticks where the white paint isn't. So we just good coating. there's one. And you're going to do that to all four. Do you think we'll have snow for Christmas? This may be the only snow we're going to have for a while. One thing I should mention, since this is a video, you can stop it at any time so that you can do what we're doing now, such as the coloring, and then start it up again. You could just pause it. That way, you don't have to worry if I'm coloring faster than you are or you're coloring faster than I am. By the way, I should have also mentioned, if you're doing this project, if you and a brother or sister signed up for it, you will find that you only got one bag, but you did get a kit for each of you. But the special things like the marker and the glue, and there was something else in there. Anyway, those we only got one of, but I bet you can share. So once you've got all four of those colored, I want you to line them up again so that the line goes up. So let me just, if I do mine this way for you, you'll see what I mean. So they're like that. And then place them face down on whatever you're working on. Line up the tips or the tops. Remember, have the punched holes on the outside. That's how you know you've got them lined up right. And then take a piece of Scotch tape and tape it right across the back to hold them together. Just like that. Then we're going to get ready for some gluing. And the first thing you'll have to do is cut up the tip of your tacky glue bottle. I'm not going to do this because this is actually going to be in somebody's box, but cut that off. Have mom or dad do it because it really takes some good strong scissors and a good strong squeeze. But you're going to cut that off right where that first indentation is. And then take those two pieces of mini craft sticks, the ones that I cut in two, and then take your glue and glue them on, and I'll show you exactly how. You're going to put just a swipe of glue across it, and then you're going to put it across up at the top. If you've ever looked at a picket fence, you would notice that there are supports. And that's basically what that is. That's going to hold our snowman together. So you're going to put one up at the top and then the other one glue on down at the bottom. So there, just like that. And let that dry. And while that's drying, take your clothespin and your other mini craft stick, put it right in there, and you're going to hold your craft stick with the clothespin while you color it with the black marker. You only have to do one side. This is for the brim of the hat, and I find that I don't wind up getting black marker all over my fingers if I'm using my clothespin to hold it. So I can just do that and then color it. And for this one, I decided I wanted to color it on the edges too. And actually for the first part you could hold it in your fingers. But once you've got one end colored, then use the clothespin to hold it in place so that you can get away without black fingers. So now I've got one end done, and I'm going to stick that in the clothespin and squeeze it while I get the other end. And this dries pretty quickly, so you don't have to wait too long with it. All right, and close up your marker so it doesn't dry out. And there's my hat brim. So now I'm going to take my white popsicle sticks and I'm going to glue this right on there, and I'm going to line it up so the top part of the brim is right at that line where the white meets the black. See that? Right up like that. And you can either put glue on the brim or on the craft sticks. I think it's better to put it on the craft sticks because that way you don't get it all the way to the end of the brim where you don't want it, because that's going to hang over the edge. And just press that on like that. Starting to look like a snowman? I think so. Just make sure that you've got that so it's pretty much even, the amount that's hanging off of either side. And while you're waiting for that to dry, what you can do is you can start doing your nose out of the piece of orange cardstock, and you can fringe the ends of the two red strips because those are going to be a scarf. And when I say fringe it, it's just cut little snips in, oh, maybe about ½ an inch, just like that, with both of them. So there's my scarf. And then for his nose, well, you know what the nose is supposed to look like, right? A carrot. So I'm going to draw a carrot. And it really doesn't need to be very long. If I show you my sample again, you can see that it's maybe, I think I took my ruler away, but it's about as long as your pinky finger to your first knuckle. So not even quite an inch. And it's going to be a little more pointed at one end. So once you're drawing your nose, go ahead and cut it out. There's my nose. I think I might make it a little bit skinnier. Just like that. And when you've got it looking the way you want it to, what you can do is you can take, remember I asked you to see if you had a black marker at home. You can use this one, but it'll make a bigger mark. So I got a smaller Sharpie, and I'm just going to draw two eyes right in the center. Again, let me get my sample out. Right on those two center white popsicle sticks. Close to, but not touching the hat brim. And he can get a different look depending on whether you make them like ovals or if you make them circles. Here's mine. And then I'm going to glue on that nose. And I recommend putting the glue on the side that has your pencil lines so then they won't show. And you want to put it on the back part or the base of it So on the side where the pencil lines are, closest to the end that's going to be touching his face. Like that. Then take your black marker again and draw a little smile made out of coal. Like that. You'll take your 2 pieces of red for the scarf, and they're going to be glued on right underneath his smile. So one going straight out and the other one going down just a bit like that. Glue on the other one. We're almost done. So there's my scarf. And then in your package you had some buttons. I'm only seeing one of my buttons, but that's okay. Because I think I only left room for one button on him. But you'll put some of the tacky glue on. Not a lot because it'll squeeze through the holes. But just put that on there. Like that. If you have room for both of them, go right ahead. Maybe if I move my scarf up a bit, I can get them there. There's my button. Knew it was somewhere. So there are my 2 buttons on there. I think it's better with 2, don't you? And then the little holly leaves, those are hard to pick up. They're very small, but just put a little dab of glue on one of them. And they're going to go up on the brim of your hat. And if you find that it's hard to use these, I'll show you another tip. That was one thing I didn't put in there. I recommend I'll make sure that I put a toothpick in your packet, because the toothpick is good for putting little dots of glue on your project and also for picking up little pieces like these leaves and the holly berries. So put the holly berries on, or the holly leaves on, and then I'm just going to, it's probably enough glue there, because I got a little bit heavy with it, to just stick those on. I'll make a note to myself to remember to put the toothpicks in, but I bet you have a toothpick at home that you could use. And I recommend using 3 or 5 holly berries. For some reason, aesthetically, it looks better if you have an odd number. So I'm going to have 3 on mine. I think I gave you enough berries that you can decide whether you want 3 or 5. Like that. And the last thing that you'll be doing, I'm going to close up my tacky glue. And I store mine because mine is probably almost empty here. I store mine in something so it can be straight down. Make sure I've got the top on it, but I store it that way so that the glue is always ready to come out when I need it. Then the last thing you'll do is you'll take that piece of black twine, as I said, it's about 10 inches. You're going to thread it through from the back side. So you're going to thread it one end here and the other end through the other hole that I punched for you. Bring the two ends together so that they're even. And then tie a knot. That may be something you want mom or dad to do for you. And then I find, once I've done that, if I just press on it a little bit, it stays flatter and it's all ready to hang. One of the nice things about ornaments is that they can be something you put on your own tree, or you can give them away as a gift. And the two last things I'm going to do. Remember I had us put some tape on there? You don't want that on your ornament, so carefully pull that off. And then take that black marker and write your name on the back of it because you made it. And I always like to add the year too. We've done this for years with my son, and it's so much fun for me to look back and see ornaments we made and looking at the year. So I'm going to put my name on here. And the year. Just like that. And that's our snowman ornament. Okay, well, why don't you go and wash off your hands and I'll get us set up for our next project, which is the Gingerbread Man. See you in a bit. I'm back. Are you ready for part 2? Our next project is going to be the Gingerbread Man. And all of his parts are in the Ziploc bag that has a picture on it. So unzip it and open it up. You'll have a cardboard Gingerbread Boy, a piece of rickrack, which is, we're going to use it as if it was the icing or frosting that's on the Gingerbread Boy. We'll have a bunch of buttons, and I put in all different kinds and colors. There's a little scrap of red paper. The buttons, as I said, you can decide whether you want to use all one color, whether you want to mix them up. And also in your bag, you'll have a piece of red string for hanging him. And there are some, I think I put in 4. Let me see 3. Oh, there's the other one that's just still in the bag. 4 punched black circles. I'm going to put those on something white here so I don't lose them. But they look like that. Just little circle punches. When I first made this project, I had his eyes just open like that. But I thought it looked so much more real if you gave him black eyes, like raisins. So that's what those are for. So there's not a whole lot to this one. What you're going to do is, I recommend taking that little scrap of red paper and cutting it a little smaller, because what you're going to do is you're going to put it right over his mouth so that when you look at him, his mouth is red. So just cut a little piece of it and hold it up to see if it fits within the sides of the gingerbread cutout. So I made mine about like that. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of glue around the back side of the cutout. And you can tell the back side from the front side, because the front side, the cuts and perforations are pressed in. I make these by having a die cut, and it squishes the corrugated cardboard. And when you take it off, it's punched out the buttons in his mouth, in his eyes, and then it's made little perforations for his overalls. So I'm going to take my glue. Remember it said on the back. I'm just going to outline his mouth. Not with a lot, don't need a lot, because I really don't want it to squish through. But just about like that. Looks like he ate a frosted donut, doesn't it? And then I'm just going to place that little scrap of red right back there. So when I turn him over, he's got a nice red smile. Now this piece of rickrack, as I said, is going to look like his frosting. So I'm going to have it on his cuffs or his arms, around the bottom of his pants, and I'm actually going to put a little piece right across the top of his overalls. So you can do it one of two ways. You can cut pieces that are about 1 inch wide, or you can just draw your bead of glue on there, on him, and then lay the rickrack on it. This is a time again when you might want to use that toothpick that I almost forgot about for the last project, and you can even stick it in your glue and draw the line where you want the glue to be. So let's get that. Just a very thin line of glue. And I got it a little thicker than I wanted, so I just used my thumb, scraped it off, and used that wet paper towel to clean it off. But there's the little bit of glue. And I'm gonna eyeball how much of the rickrack I need, and really you don't need not even a whole inch. So cut it with your scissors and place it right on your gingerbread boy. Or you can lay the whole big piece on there like this. And then trim it if you're afraid that you might cut it too short. But there. Then I'm going to do the same thing down here, and then just a little piece across the top of his overalls. So draw a little line of glue. My rickrack was stuck to me. And add the rickrack. Isn't it a fun word to say, rickrack? Just a fancy trim. Now, if you want, you can color your gingerbread man with markers. I'm going to leave mine just looking like he's gingerbread, but that's up to you. One more up there. And I gave you way more than you really need, so if you wanted to, you could even do his shoulder straps in rickrack, whatever you want. I think I may do that this time. Remember, as I said, if you get too much glue on there, just scrape it off with your fingernail or with your toothpick and wipe it on that paper towel. I still have some left over. I gave you an extra large piece, more than I thought you'd really need, but I wanted to have it be what, a lot. So you could decide whether you wanted to put a lot on or just a little. Then, what I want you to do is take one of those tiny black dots, put a little bit of glue on it, stick it right over the hole where the eye is, like that. As I said, I gave you 4 of them just because I thought they are small and they could get lost. So this way you've got a spare or 2, so like that. And then the last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add some buttons going down the front of him, and I'm trying to decide. But the one I made originally, I used all the same color buttons. And I kind of like that. So I think this time I'll put all green ones on him. So just take a little bit of the glue, putting one on his pocket. And 2 below that. And the glue doesn't dry right away, so you can reposition your buttons if you want. If you want to line them up so that they're all either going up and down with the holes, or crosswise with the holes. Like that. And then the last thing is that string. Now this time I tied it in a knot for you because I think that the easiest thing to do is just Scotch tape it to the back, and I put the knot down below so that it wouldn't pull out. Or you can put the tape through your string, but I think I'm going to stick with that way. So I'm just going to lay it down, get a piece of tape, and I may even want it a little thinner than that, so I'm going to just tear that. And holding my string right in place, I'm going to stick that right over it in the center. I think it's probably easier to do setting it down on the table. You could glue it down, whatever works for you. But there's my gingerbread boy. Too good to eat though, right? But nice to put on a tree. So that's our second project. And I'm going to get myself ready so we can make that rockin' Santa together. Are you ready for the last ornament? This is our Santa. He's called a rocking Santa because he actually rocks. I first saw this is on Pinterest, and they used a paper plate, but paper plates are pretty big for ornaments on a tree, so I scaled it down for us. So if you wouldn't mind, get out your last kit, and in it you'll find a half circle of red cardstock, a white square, a white strip, a small white circle, a larger creamy circle, a strip of black cardstock, two Google eyes, and a red pom-pom for a nose. And there's also a piece of red string for hanging if you want to use it as an ornament. He's also nice putting on a mantle or a bookshelf. So I'll let you decide, and you can do that at the very end if you decide you want to have a string in it. So take that piece of red cardstock, the half circle, and I want you to very gently bring the two corners over to touch each other. And the reason we're going to do that is I want to find out where the center is. So if I put the two corners touching, I can very gently just pinch right there where that comes together like that, and then open it up. So you can just see the pinch mark. Then get your glue ready. And for this one, you may decide you want to use the the glue stick. It doesn't really matter, but sometimes it's a little easier to get it in place. And what we're going to do is we're going to make a cone. Turn this around on the back. We're going to bring one side around. I should not have been wearing red. One side around so that it meets like that. You want it to go all the way up to the top, but the two sides are going to overlap just a little bit. And it looks like a dunce hat. I don't even know if you'd know what that is, but a little pointed hat. And then you're going to put your glue just along the edge, so just along there. And as I said, you can use your glue stick to get it in place. And I'm putting mine on the outside of one part and the inside of the other so that when they come together, they'll stick. But you have to work fast with glue sticks. I bet you knew that. Press it down just a little bit so that you can get it going all the way up to the top. And do you still have that clothespin handy? Because it's a really good way to hold that in place while the glue dries. Just like that. And eventually what we're going to do is we will squish it flat. So if you wanted to do that now, you can. So when I say squish, have that line right in the middle of the back and then squeeze it. Until it lies flat. Like that. And then have that clothespin there holding it. And we'll just let that dry. Now, this cream circle is going to be Santa's face. And the white piece of paper you've got is his beard. And if you hold it up, you'll see that I made sure that the white piece was bigger than the creamy face, because that's going to be his beard. And what you can do is I mark it with my pencil just where that white would touch the cream. And I don't know if you can see that, but I'm going to hold it way up close. So I've made a mark right there and right there. So that's where my beard is going to connect up with his face. And then I'm going to draw a cloud. A cloud? To me, a beard looks like a cloud. So I'm going to draw a cloud from those marks. Not a whole cloud, but just a partial cloud, like that. Does that look like a beard? Does it also look like a cloud? I think so. And then I'm going to cut that out. And it doesn't have to be symmetrical, which means it doesn't have to be the same on both sides. Because if you've ever looked at beards, sometimes they're very scruffy and definitely not groomed to look exactly the same from one side to the other. There's my beard. Here, I'll hold it this way so you can see it. And when I put it on his face, looks like Santa's beard. But I'm not going to glue it on there yet. When your base is dry, this is Santa's suit and hat all in one. When it's dry, not sure if mine is yet or not. I'm just going to move that down a little bit. I'm going to take that circle, that's his face, put a little glue on it. I'm going to go back to using my tacky glue, I think. Just put a light coating of glue on the whole face like that. Trying to decide the best way to be sharing this. And then not too close to the top, but above center, I'm going to stick that on his face, or stick that on him. Making sure it's kind of centered. Press it down so that it sticks all the way around, like that. And the next thing I'm going to take is that piece of black. That's Santa's belt. And that's going to go way down at the bottom. So I'm going to put a swipe of glue across that. And when I lined mine up, I'm going to set it down for just a little bit. I lined it up with these two edges so that the top of my belt touched those points. Does that make sense to you? So that's what it looks like from the back. Maybe you can see what I mean by that. That the top of the black strip is where the points are on each side. When you turn it around, it looks like a crazy sign, doesn't it? I had a little too much glue, so I just used my paper towel to wipe it off. It'll dry clear. And then we'll add the beard. Now, I didn't want to put it on before we put the belt on because the beard is going to go over the belt. You want your beard to cover the bottom part of Santa's face. So you're going to put your glue just at the top. And again, like we did when we were doing the nose for the snowman, I'm going to put the part where I drew the line, that's going to go down. So I'm going to put the glue on that, and I'm just going to put it up at the top. And I know it's hard to see white on white, but can you see the glue? And then I'll put it on so it covers the bottom part of Santa's face. Like that. And while we're doing all of this, the glue is drying, so his belt is drying, his face is drying, his beard is drying, and also that seam up his back is drying. You can take that, well, actually, we'll wait a second. We'll take that white strip, and that's going to be the brim of his hat. So it's going to come down over the top of the face and leave a little space at the top so we can add that pom-pom. But it'll be just about like that. So a little swipe of glue, line it up. And you don't want it to go down too far because you've got to leave room for his eyes and his nose. So it's going to come just about to here. Just about like that. I'm going to press it down. And when I made mine originally, you can see that I just folded those white ends back. I don't know if you want to do that or if you want to trim those off so that they don't show. I think I'm going to trim them this time. So I'm going to let them dry just a little bit. And while they're drying, it's time for some eyes. So let me see if I can find both of my eyes here. I think they went dancing when I opened my plastic bag. Fortunately, I brought some spares, so I'll use that. You've got your 2 eyes and your pom-pom. Hope you didn't lose yours. And you can either put the glue on the object and drop it down, or you can make a dot of the glue on the face where you want it. I think I'm going to try that this time. Squeeze that glue so gently so just a smidge comes out. You may want a little bit more for the nose because the pom-pom is made of, it's a fabric, not paper. So it's going to take a little bit more glue to hold it in place. I'm going to use my toothpick to make sure I've got that glue right where I want it. Do you ever think of a toothpick as a tool? But it is. So I'm just spreading the glue out a little bit where I'm going to drop the eyes and the nose. So here comes my nose. I'm going to press down on that. Here come the eyes. Make sure your eyes are below that hat band because nobody has eyes in their hat bands. So, is he looking a little more like Santa? I think so. Now's the time to decide if you want him to be freestanding so he can just rock from side to side, or whether you want to hang him on a tree as an ornament. And if you do, what I would suggest doing is punching a hole right through the top of his hat. And then threading your string through that. Remember, there's that piece of red string. Thread it through and tie a knot. Don't know that I have a punch here. So I think I won't do that for this one. But you can punch a hole, then thread your string through that hole, tie it in a knot, so you can hang it on a tree. Be just like that. And then the very last thing you're going to add would be that white circle right at the very top for the pom-pom on his hat. And again, the best thing to do, since it's going to hang over the edge of the hat, is put your glue right on the tip of that, and then pop your circle pom-pom right on top. Like that. Now I'm going to trim off my belt, and I'm going to do that by turning it over to the back and then cutting what I can see sticking outside the red. So I trim that side. This one I'm going to cut right along here. So it's like that. And then you can decide whether you want to have that sticking out like Santa's hat might do. You can fold it back like I did with this one, or you can trim it flush. So this time I think I'm going to try trimming it flush. And as again, the easiest way to do that is turn around so you can see where the red part is, because you don't want to cut through the red. And cut up. And there's Santa. And I was just thinking Santa could also be a bookmark. I don't have any books here, but he could sit right on a page too, so that might be a nice gift for somebody if you didn't put a string on it, or even if you did, it'd be a double duty one. So that's our third ornament. So we've had a snowman, a gingerbread man, and a rockin' Santa. And I hope yours turned out just great. I hope you have a wonderful holiday, and we'll see you next month for our Crafter School Special. We're going to be making snowmen. So thanks for tuning in, and have a wonderful holiday.